Thank you. You know, we sat around a couple of years ago when we were trying to brainstorm about that Jazz Foundation. I said, this is such a simple sale because what the Jazz Foundation really does is sell cool. Like, these are cool cats. The style, the whole atmosphere you want to aspire to be part of. So, you know, what's a suburban white guy that grew up with no musical talent in a middle-class family doing on stage after all these wonderful musicians, and he's just lucky. Dick did a wonderful job of explaining what the Jazz Foundation does for musicians, but as cool as Dick is, and as much as I love him, I think he got it backwards. What he should have been thinking about is what the musicians does for the people in this room, what the musicians do for the people that are in the audience, what the musicians do for the students when they're in the schools. What was that guy's name? Viking? So when Viking was playing The House of the Rising Sun, it brought me back to the first loft party I ever went to. And they pushed up this woman in a wheelchair, and I was like, man, I've never been attracted to an 80-year-old woman before, but she is regal. She is gorgeous. And I didn't know who she was, and she sat out there and she sang this unbelievable version of The House of the Rising Sun. And I asked the guy next to me, I said, who is that? He said, well, it's Odetta. She's this very famous civil rights singer. And of course, me being the complete, jazz novice or jazz fool, I was like, I better go home and Google her. So I went home and Googled her, and I was like, wow. But I remember sitting there and thinking something was special. There was grace. There was something magical at that moment. And 2 weeks later, Odetta passed away. And that was probably her last performance. And that sense of being, even for that day, part of that family, part of that experience still lives with me. Twice more at Jazz Foundation events. I was there on stage, actually, when Jimmy Norman sang his last song. And, there's something magical about it, that there's a life well lived, that there is a life of a guy who has done everything he's loved. And you're there as to witness, to bear witness to his last song. Last year at this party, afterwards, we took Bobby Floyd out for dinner. And, what a wonderful man. And we talked about going to Italy and whatnot, and things turned for the worse. And then I don't know who was at the jazz, the Harlem party last year, but he walked on stage in a white suit with a white hat and sang his last song, and there was love in the room, and there was love on the stage, and his backup singer were around him, and his family was there. And, again, for the third time, I was part of and witnessed something magical and something special. And so I'm thinking to myself, who's getting more from this gig, them or me? When I look at the ledger is way to the side of the audience. The ledger is way to the side of the people that call themselves the donors or the givers. What Wendy has done, and Hearts to Wendy and the Jazz Foundation has done, is create this loving place to help people who need help. But mostly, it's also to honor the people that have been performing and trying and doing what they love to do. And so, then I think about the schools. You put a jazz group in the schools. You put 4 or 5 of these cool cats in a school, and students all of a sudden light up. And I've only been to one of the concerts, but the students' faces light up, and all of a sudden they're witnessing for the first time the left brain playing with the right brain. They don't know what they're seeing. They know something special, but they're witnessing intuition, they're witnessing collaboration, and they're witnessing cool cats. And so they light up. And so it almost breaks my heart that we don't have a jazz band in a school every day. We got enough musicians, and we got enough kids. There's 1.2 million students in New York City. And so my pitch tonight is for you guys who can, for everybody, to think about how you can help, how you can give, because the more musicians we put in schools, the more people we can kind of help out. And so Dick said it. Dick, he ran away. I don't know. But he said it earlier. He said, we gave a lot last year, but this year we need to give a little bit more. And so, this is a city of wildly different means. And so I'm only asking everyone dig in a little bit deeper than they did last year and give what you can, because it's a wonderful cause. You get to associate with cool cats. Look at Liddell, I mean, like the hat, you know. I'm willing to give a whole lot of money if I can get his son's hair. And so that's my pitch. I will leave it at that and give the mic back to Wendy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike.